Well, actually, all contracts, every contract has to be approved by IHL. And when I say every president, I mean every contract. So anything that has to do with money and job, I give you this. I'll give you a quick example. So there was one of my books is about Hollis Watkins. Hollis Watkins was a SNCC field worker doing Freedom Summer. So I got together to help Hollis Watkins write his book. Hollis Watkins is the only SNCC field worker from Mississippi to actually ever write a book about working in Freedom Summer. So usually when you're doing that kind of project, you get to be put on leave, right? And everybody, so my chair, the chair in the English department knew that was a big project. The dean knew it was a big project. And so they said, you know what, Mr. McInnis, and I'm saying leave, it's not actually leave, it's I can't think of the word. But they said, we're gonna allow you to be on leave so you can write this book. So, and everybody signed off on it. And it went up to IHL, and when IHL said, no, we're not gonna grant him full leave. We'll grant him half. No, and here's the other thing about knowing how contracts work. I told them, I said, I only want sabbatical. Thank you, Willie T. Sabbatical. They were gonna let me have sabbatical to finish this book. In the paperwork, though, I was smart enough to know. I said, something go down. I said, look, I only want the sabbatical if I get my full pay. Because I didn't want them to come back and say, we'll give you sabbatical, but you won't get full pay. So I said, I want sabbatical. I want to leave for my classes to write this book, but I want my full pay. So when it went up, those things actually take about 3 to 4 months to happen, right? So when it went up and came down, the semester had already started. IHL said that he cannot have a full sabbatical, and he definitely can't have full sabbatical without pay. But the only thing that saved me was because I had with pay. So the only thing that IHL could do was they struck down the full sabbatical and said, we'll give him 2. Like, you usually teach 4 classes. So they said, instead of giving him leave from all 4 of his classes, they will give him leave from 2 of his classes. And so my chair had to scrounge and find 2 classes for me to teach because the semester had already started. So that's what I mean when we say that no matter what you decide on your university level, whatever you decide on the university level has to be approved on IHL. So all contracts, no matter anything that has to do with money, everything, no president at any state university has final authority about any contract. Period.
Wow.
So can I ask you a question, Dr. McInnis? What's the
Sure.
purpose of
One thing, Sister Michelle, I always have to tell people, I'm actually not a doctor. I don't have a PhD. And I don't like people coming after me saying, so yeah, you just call me either C. Lee or Brother Matt. But go ahead.
Hey, you on mute, Michelle. You on mute.
What's the purpose? Thank you, Ken. What's the purpose of having your budget that you can't do anything with them? And then what percentage of this IHL is white? And because I'm just seeing this is so powerful that these people have this kind of power over schools. It's like, why do you have a finance department at your school? Because you can't do no contracts.
Well, a couple of things. So it's generally, IHL is generally about 75% white, right? It's generally about 75% white. And what's most important is it's generally 75 to 80% no representation from HBCUs. So that's the big thing, is that I can't remember a time when Alcorn Valley, Jackson State, Coahoma all had a representative at the same time. Like, I can't remember. So again, that's the problem is, we won't have. So the other thing is, in theory, Sister Rochelle, IHL having that oversight is not necessarily a bad thing in theory. The problem is that all schools are never fairly represented. That's the problem. So let me give you an example. if a school wants to decide to have a particular program, IHL has to sign off on you having that program, even when you prove you can have that program. So let me give you an example. There are a couple of majors that HBCUs don't have because they'll say that's duplication. So they'll say, we're not going to let you have this particular major because it's already at this school or it's already at that school. And what they'll do is they'll play the proximity game, right? So, like, and they used to use the one where Jackson State is kind of in proximity to Hattiesburg. Like, that's an hour and a half away. I mean, what you mean in proximity? So they'll say for years, well, you can't really have this program because someone else can go. So that's a way that they've always stopped limiting the number of programs that HBCUs can have because they'll just say, well, we don't want duplication. Wow. So yeah, so the problem, I want to be clear, the problem isn't that IHL has oversight. The problem is that the oversight comes from people who are not aligned with all the universities.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Like, why?
That's not crazy. That's retarded.
Yeah, and yes, CHS, all of the board members are appointed by the governor. That's yes. And somebody asked, could IHL be challenged in court? No, because IHL actually comes down through the legislature. So the legislature determines that makeup. And so if you try to challenge it in court, what the argument is that when you have opportunity to do that because you have opportunity to vote on that, right? So it's that's part of your voting structure. It's like in like certain school districts, your school board is elected, or in some school districts, your school board is chosen by your mayor. That's just kind of how it works. And so depending on where you live, you either get to vote for your school board members, or you have to be clear on what mayor you vote, because that mayor will choose your school, the people who serve on your board.